Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the most exceptional conservative show in the world. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. Yours truly at the helm, the exceptional one himself, Ken McClinton. Listen, we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power, the absolute power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. Who's in that chat room? Who's in there? Let me take a look. Claudia, glad to have you here. Love you dearly. Dan the Man Butcher. Whoa, Dan the Man. You are the man. You are sincerely the man. How you make that woman work and slave around you, Jane, his wife. It's wonderful how you do that, Dan. You are the man. You are Mr. Man. Please ring that little bell and make Jane come into the room and bring you your drink for the evening. Make sure that she puts your feet up. There you go, Dan the Man. No, Dan the Man is seriously a truly just brilliant man, and his High Plains Pundit Media is a world powerhouse of media. It really is for conservative talk. But I love Dan. He's more than a friend. He's family. Also, I love dearly Mary Brockman. Mary Brockman is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be whoop dismissed. What you say? Heck, Mrs. Butcher picked out the hat you are wearing. Hey, and don't tell people that. I picked it out all by myself. Okay, yes, she did. Yes, she did. I'm going to tell you, Jane is a powerful woman. She really is. I want to thank the great people of High Plains Pundit Media, as well as Red Nation Rising, High Plains Pundit Media taking us live, and as well, Red Nation Rising, you'll hear us at 2 a.m. on the Liberty Channel. God bless you all. Thank you so much. I want to thank Anonymous from last night, who came on from Germany live. 4 in the morning for him. He came on live to tell you that things in Europe are a little bit more different than what the New York Times and the LA Times is telling you. There is a world of change taking place, and you all won't be surprised at all about what happens in Europe, especially when Angela Merkel loses her place. You won't be surprised, but certainly those of you who are not listening to us will certainly be. Want to let you all know that tonight happens to be this is Sackheads Radio Night. It is the most powerful Wednesday night of radio in the free world. It really is. It starts off at 8:05 with Southside Mutt Show with Jersey Boys, the Jersey Joe, and Crash. Also, right now you're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, and I'm your host, Ken McClinton. We start at 9:05 Eastern Time, and then Sackheads Radio takes the helm. Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and Sir Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin, Wednesday nights at 11:05 p.m. Eastern Time. They come up with some cryptic PS time, Pacific time. I've never heard of it. It must be a left coast thing, but you know how those leftists are. But Sackheads Radio Night, it is live right now on Sackheads, and I hope that you're listening to us. And would you do us a great favor? Because you know what? It's really boring when you're sitting there by yourself listening to us. Go tell 3 or 4 other friends to listen to us. And that way, it's a much more exciting time. Tonight, we're going to have a very special guest on with us, Melanie, Professor Melanie Collette. And she is an education superstar. And quite frankly, we're going to get into the whole concept of what it means to have a Trump education agenda. We're going to be talking about school choice, easy access to vocational training, and reduced costs for college. Our eyes will be open wide. And if you ever take a look at Melanie Collette, professor, first question I got for her is, does she still get carded? I think she looks kind of young to be a professor. I don't know. Dave Miller's in there. That's my good friend, Dave. Dave is the unpleasant blind guy. He's in the chat room with us tonight. I think we're going to be booked up large and in charge tonight. Celeste Clavery! Oh, my God. One of the first ladies is on tonight. And she was on with us on Monday night. And I'm telling you, it was a great joy to have Celeste Clavery on. She's one of the first ladies of the last civil right. And I am just so gratified to have her in the chat room tonight. You have to be beautiful to be a member of the last group. That you really do. There's a I think it's on the application. If you're going to blog with them, you have to have won a beauty contest somewhere. So I know I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But it's true. If you ever take a look at the pictures of the women who happen to be a part of that organization, oh my, those are some beautiful women. So not only do you have to be brainy, but you also have to be beautiful. It's written somewhere in there, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what we do to lead this show off. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Kids, take us away. Put your right hand over your heart like this. Take your hats off, brothers. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Get your kids, do that with your kids before they go to school. That way you know they won't take a knee. Anyway, and Dan, don't tell people that Jane picked out my hat. I'm supposed to look like a man in charge. Like I had something to do with it. Ladies and gentlemen, a young woman who is as vibrant and vivacious and patrolic as any woman can be in the area of let's see, let's do that again. Let's go back. Oh boy, I tell you, this is you get tired of this right here. Okay, we're gonna go back on that one, I tell you. And tonight she's going to share with us her thoughts and opinions on none other than the education philosophies of the Trump agenda. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you know that this is Wednesday night. This is a big night, Super Bowl night for us. And on Super Bowl night, we have with us the Kraken himself, Lonnie Poindexter. Good evening, Melanie Collette, Professor Melanie Collette.
Yes, sir. How are you this evening?
Just fine, just fine. It is an honor and privilege to have you on our program for the first time. So glad to have you in great company this particular evening with so many conservatives. I want to let you introduce where you're a professor at, because we have one big question for you after you do your introduction.
Okay, I will do my best. Forgive me because I am fighting off a little cold, so if I sound a little raspy, that's why I sound a little raspy. But I am a professor at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. I'm also a high school teacher. I teach in public school. I've taught in public school for the last 7 years. I teach computer programming at Lacey Township High School, and I teach computing environments at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey.
Wow. Listen, we're honored to have you on our program, and we want you to be a constant source of inspiration and instruction for us going forward. But
I will do my best.
this is the big question we have for you tonight, Professor. Do you still get carded? You look a little young to be a professor. You really do. I don't know about this professor thing.
Well, thank you. You know what? I hate to say it, but sometimes I get asked. Like, I had an incident with another professor because I was waiting with my students outside of the classroom, and I told him you could leave the door open as he was leaving. And he said, "Well, we usually wait for the professor to come." And I was like, "You're." It was actually pretty funny. But then he stuck his foot in his mouth and said, "Well, it's usually a male," and I guess that's because I teach computers. Mm-hmm. And it was a brother too.
Wow.
Kind of sad.
Wow. Talk about a brother who has no chance from now on. There you go. Professor.
Yeah. Swing and a miss.
Listen, we're glad that you have levity because that's a requirement for being on our program. But we have a very serious crisis in America. The Democrats were in charge of the education platform for 8 years consecutively. They told us that if we implemented their school choice, their Common Core histrionics, that we would be better off as a nation. We would be further ahead academically, and we wouldn't need any vocational training. I want to get your opinion regarding that particular matter.
Wow, you really want me to start on Common Core? First of all, to federalize education is unconstitutional on its face. That's number one. So, if there's a measure of illegality involved in the implementation of Common Core. Now, of course, what they did is that it was up to the states and dangled a whole lot of money in front of all the governors and said, here's all this money if you implement Common Core, which is an absolute nightmare from a practical standpoint and from a teaching standpoint. And I'm someone who is subjected to that in my teaching. It is an absolute waste of time. I understand what they were trying to do, what they were attempting to do.
What were they trying to do?
When bureaucrats who have never set foot in a classroom, who've never spent any time doing a lesson plan or instructing kids, try to set policy. That's the problem. So, that's just one of my many issues with the Common Core. There's nothing common about Common Core. The United States is a very diverse and rich, land. Every state is diverse and rich, and the educational needs of its children are diverse and rich, which is why I'm sure the Founding Fathers saw fit to have education, defaulted to the states as far as, who ran it, who decided to set the curriculum, and et cetera. That's why they wanted to keep the Fed out of those decisions for that precise reason.
Well, people would come back at you on the left, and they would say, "Well, the Northwest Ordinance allowed the federal government to interfere with education, and quite frankly, it's a role that we need to set for global interaction. We need to be as strong as Sweden and Finland and Denmark regarding their educational protocols. We need to be just as good as them."
And we're number 30. And we're 30. And we're 30. You all have been doing it for all these years, and we're now 30. And we keep dropping down the list worldwide. So what you're doing is not working.
So even with Common Core, we failed behind.
Yes. We're still falling behind. And I will tell you, there's so much more to the story of why public education is falling behind. It has so much more to do with politics and money and power than anybody realizes. And our grading system being an absolute and complete joke. The kids leave these classrooms not knowing anything, which is part of the reason why Miss Melanie is exiting stage left, because I'm tired of kids leaving my classroom not knowing anything because the bureaucrats are telling me that I have to give a child who did zero work in my class a 60, for example.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Uh,
oh yeah, I have a kid that has a 12 right now in my class, a 12. And I have to give him a 60% because of the grading safety net. Now, I'm no mathematical genius, but, you know,
oh my.
38 extra percentage points is a little much.
Oh my God. So I could walk into your classroom today, not have picked up a single book, snored at you while you were teaching, and I'm guaranteed to get 50 points out of the deal.
No, 60.
Six?
It's a 6.
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I had a kid last year who had a 9, and I had to give him a 60. Yep.
Oh my.
Because that's what mine looked like when I first heard it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Grading. It's a grading safety net. Oh, don't even get me into modifications for grading.
Oh, we're gonna get into that.
The information. Did he know the information, or did he kind of know the information?
What?
Well,
Kind.
Situation. You can give him a grade for kind of knowing the information. So if you want to know why the cashier at Burger King doesn't know how to add and subtract, I can guarantee you that they probably had a grading safety net or some kind of grading modification where they could only really answer, 5 of the 20 questions on the test because they got 100 anyway.
Wow!
I'm not kidding.
Oh,
I'm not joking.
school has changed.
I'm not joking.
School has changed for the dereliction of our nation. We're talking tonight with Professor Melanie, Collette, a professor at Rowan University up in New Jersey. Celeste Clavery is with us tonight. And it seems that when beautiful women come on the air, they assimilate other beautiful women on the program. So there you go. Celeste Clavery is with us. And she's asking whether or not teachers laugh at students in distress. Like on the video of the parent who was berating the young lad for voting in a mock election for Donald Trump. Does that take place in the classroom?
I would never do that. I think it's completely wrong and unethical. But do I think it happens? Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I think, there are teachers that are so caught up in their own righteousness that they would do something like that. I mean, listen, the union materials that were sent to us alone had quotes from teachers that said things like, I have students crying because they think that Donald Trump is going to support them and their families. It's ridiculous. And I assured them that would not be the case, that there would not be a president of hate. Oh, did you? That's what you told my child? Like, real. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you're his teacher. Nobody told you to discuss policy with my child. If that was me, that I would have an issue with that.
Now,
but teachers absolutely do that.
Now, I remember when we used to do phonics in classroom to garner the ability to read. Yet, we're being told that even though we spend upwards of the average DC student costs $35,000 a year for high school and elementary school. Even though we're spending that kind of money on kids, they're not prepared to take your courses at the university in terms of English and math.
And they're not. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, the computing environment class that I teach is advanced Microsoft Office. It's to help them in all of their other classes that they have to take. It's required for freshmen. So, for example, if you're a finance student, you need to know advanced applications in Excel. If you're a chemistry student, you need to know how to do, advanced charting and statistics and things like that in Excel. So, my class is designed to help students familiarize themselves with the entire Microsoft Office suite for the continuation of their 4 years at Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them, I scratch my head and wonder how, in God's name, they got accepted to school.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. I'm like, how? When they don't know the basics. They don't understand, the basics of even how to communicate with their professor, the basics of how to, obtain their book. They don't even know what an ISBN number is.
Really?
I'm not kidding. My class did not know what an ISBN number was.
Well,
and I was like, how? You have books like all throughout school, right? So
it's right there. It's right there. It's at the beginning. You look down. It's right there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
it's the number. It's those letters ISBN right before the number. But see, you can't say that in a classroom because you get in trouble because sarcasm is kind of frowned upon. Which is why, as you can imagine, I struggled with a smidge.
Listen, sarcasm requires critical thinking. Children today are not taught how to think; they're taught what to think. So, when broached with sarcasm, there's going to be great deal of offense. I have this question for you as well, as we are talking about Trump's education agenda. You have people in your classroom that will say, especially if you were white, but of course because you're conservative, you count in that grouping, that you're racist. How can you be?
I got accused of white privilege the other day, and I had to run to my mirror as I thought that something had dramatically changed that I was unaware of. But no, I was still black. So I didn't really understand by another black person. And I'm like, I had another person say to me that I didn't understand the situation because that person was black and a woman and had Latino friends. And I was like, I'm black and I'm a woman and I have Latino friends. Like, what? I don't understand.
I want to.
I just don't believe in group think.
Yes.
I believe in my beliefs and my positions and my policies having some foundation in truth. That's I think the problem. I'm having a little bit of an issue right now with some family members that unfriended me on Facebook, unbeknownst to me. I kind of just found out. Apparently, they had unfriended me a while ago. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was upset, but they said that basically I was not empathetic, and I said, well, policy is not an empathetic thing. It has to be based on truth and a marriage of your belief and what is true, and then you have to develop policies that are for the good of all, and that on its face is not emotional. So
exactly.
That's my personal opinion. And so if you're saying that I'm approaching this in a non-emotional way, that is very purpose. That was done on purpose. And they're like, but you're a very emotional person, so that's not you. And I'm like, no, that's not the me that you know. But this is the policy part.
We're talking tonight. We're talking tonight with Professor Melanie Collette. We're going to have her on a few more times, hopefully before the inauguration, just to get you all into the grasp of what Trump's education policies are about. And I want, this is kind of like an introduction because a lot of people are under the impression that Donald Trump is about to ship all black people back to Africa. He's about to throw all the Mexicans across the border. All schools will have nuns in them.
Okay, now here's the thing. This is in the same style with Bill O'Reilly's racist, and then you ask the question, well, have you ever watched the show? Well, no. And I'm going to ask the same question. Did you ever read Donald Trump's education policy? And I will guarantee you that the answer is no.
Yeah.
And see, this is the part where I get upset with people that I communicate with on social media because I'm like, you are talking about something that you don't know about. You're speaking on something without knowledge. And then I get called condescending. I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to say.
And you're racist for telling me I don't know what I'm not knowing.
Right. When I asked, have you read the policy? And I say, well, he said, I'm like, but what's the policy? What is the law? Because that's all that really matters. But you're listening to all this noise and letting the media amplify the noise, which is designed to do exactly what it's doing, to distract you from the facts and from the policy. And the policy and the law is all that matters in this country, in the Constitution. No man is more powerful than our Constitution and in our law.
Well, except for Hillary.
Well,
you did say no man.
I stand corrected.
No, you're correct. No man is above the law, but Hillary is.
Yeah, exactly. Hillary is an entity unto herself.
Professor, in terms of school choice, because we could talk with you about vocational training, and as well in terms of cost of education, and people don't understand, if you send dumb kids to school, the cost of teaching them increases. Am I right?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. No, listen, you're 100% correct. And people don't even understand where the costs come from. Nobody is digging into the numbers to understand where the costs come from. How I first got interested in teaching and in public education is that I worked in a private school for 14 years as an executive assistant. Mm-hmm. Part of my job was the budget, and I saw the money that we spent. You know, we had Olympic-sized swimming pools, we had squash courts, tennis courts, and top-notch education for way less money than what public schools spend on their kids. And I wanted to know why. And now I know why. Mm-hmm. Much of it has to do with the union. Most of it has to do with the union.
Thank you.
A lot of it has to do with the way the funds are meted out, and with attrition, not wanting to kick kids who are misbehaving out of school because the money follows students. So you get paid per student. So riddle me this. If you have students who misbehave and you lower the discipline policies, right? Because they're a distraction in a classroom. But you lower the discipline policies, they're a distraction in the classroom so that you can keep their money, what happens in the classroom? How much gets done in the classroom? How much productivity do you have in the classroom?
You know,
I'm going to say that it lowers productivity. I'm going to say that class is probably not moving as quickly as it could because we have that child in the classroom that doesn't know how to behave. That is on one school I worked in, what's called no credit status, meaning you have messed up this school year so bad that now there's no way you can get any credit for this course, but you have to come to school anyway because your parents will get arrested. How do you think that kid acts in class? How much work do you think that teacher gets done?
What's really...
It's all connected to money.
Exactly.
It's all connected to money.
There was a video that I saw where there was a substitute teacher in a Chicago school, and literally the class just took complete advantage of her. They filmed it. They performed sexual acts in the middle of the class. They did all kinds of things to destroy her. And by the end of the video, you can see that woman is sitting at her table crying. And I'm imagining this is not just happening in the urban cities of America where education is a choice, at least getting it. But literally, that this is happening across the country because teachers are the least on the educational chain per se. Students are way up high, administrators are way up high, and teachers are way down at the bottom.
Absolutely, they are, and I'm not one to be, an apologist for teachers, so I will say that is absolutely true. I have a friend who taught for about 2 years. She was an elementary school teacher, and so a 7-year-old told her that she could go blank herself, and I was like, Lord. The angels must have been with you that day. I would be in jail. I'm telling you right now. That's never happened to me. No child has ever said that to me. And I think I must be blessed. Somebody's looking
Listen,
We don't have a problem.
I understand because I went to a private school with Sister Mary, and Sister Mary had the yardstick. And if you were caught talking, she had the right to take the yardstick and slap your hand. Normally, I got other people into trouble doing that. I never got caught myself. But the important thing is there was discipline.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, we're not even as teachers allowed to have a student write 100 times, I will not talk without a turn or something like that. That's considered corporal punishment.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
But
like there's no discipline.
I can't imagine this because I imagine now that most kids couldn't even write the sentence that you're asking in a grammatical fashion that was acceptable to the standards of the English language, less just the corporal punishment part of it. And a part of that is that parents are so far away from the experience itself because the administrations don't really want parents to be involved. But there's so much education I want to talk with you about over the next few weeks. But I want to ask this question of you regarding school choice because this is what I hear in the inner city. Why can't we spend more money on public school teachers? That way, our kids will get smarter. That way, they don't have to go to no charter school. This is what parents tell me.
I'm not getting the correlation. And again, this is where I'm going to sound slightly condescending, I suppose, but there's no correlation between teachers getting paid more and kids getting smarter.
Thank you.
There is, however, a correlation between parent involvement and students getting smarter and students doing their work. There's a huge correlation there. If we're going to spend that kind of money, let's get the parents involved. You know, now we have the capacity for parents to go online and check their kids' grades. Do you know how many of them do? Very few.
Wow.
Very few. A lot of parents these days are very distracted. And I hate to throw parents under the bus this way, but I really do throw a lot of the responsibility in their direction. And this is somebody who, as a teacher, who has called home and said to parents, you know, your child has a C in my class, and I'm really concerned about the status of his grade. And the response I get back is, why are you calling me? He's passing. Well, that's because I was brought up that a C was unacceptable. You know, that's
oh my God!
You know, because I have standards for my, you know, an expectation.
Professor, you and I grew up in the same group level per se. Well, actually, you look a whole lot younger than I do. But we came up during the same standard. You couldn't go home with a C. You couldn't.
No. No. And if you better have an explanation, then it better be a darn good one.
And it had to be.
Really, better be able to explain that.
Oh my God!
And if a teacher called home, what?
Oh my God!
Right. Exactly.
Some of the fastest people who were ever on track teams beat the teacher call when they got home because they ran home as fast as they could to knock that phone off the hook.
Exactly. Now, I mean, there are parents where I've emailed them repeatedly. I've called them. I've emailed them. You know, I try to talk to them, and they just don't care. I had one parent tell me, "Stop calling. He's your problem now. It's your job to make sure he gets his work done."
Wow.
Though.
So it's a police job to babysit your kid on the street. It's a teacher's job to babysit your child in school. It's a preacher's job to babysit your kid in the pews. But you don't have a job in all of this. Is that one of the major?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. That's what I'm hearing. And, you know, I stopped calling home when kids had C's because it was a complete waste of my time. Now the standard is the kid failing. Does the kid have an F? You know, and I've had parents email me back, I just don't know what to do with them. But then I overhear them talking about the great, fabulous weekend they had at Great Adventure. I'm like, well, that's part of the problem.
Exactly.
He has a D in my class, and he was at Great Adventure over the weekend. Let's start there.
Oh, oh my God!
So,
If I got anything lower than a B, I had no weekend. That was
exactly.
you were at home.
Exactly. Because my mom was like, oh, you must not be associated with your books. Let me associate you with them. You, your room, and books.
But
For
but
the, for the rest of the week until I see some grades.
But professor, some people are going to say, and I thank God that you're a vocational teacher as well. Some people are going to say, well, not everybody was made for college. Uh, should we focus?
I agree.
Shouldn't we focus on vocational training in the urban centers of America?
I think that there should be some opportunities, and I think it should be based on the area. For example, now I live in a rural area, so I have a unique situation where it's like a beach resort type area. But as a result, I think we should have like hospitality, hotel, those kind of vocations, that kind of curriculum, and entrepreneurial classes we should have in our schools because in our area, most of the people are either business owners or in some type of hospitality or restaurant industry. That's what's available in our industry. In the inner cities, it might be a little bit different, but I think that the curriculum and the vocational curriculums in particular should be catered to the area and to where the job opportunities might be. To me, that makes the most sense.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because yeah, I don't think everybody's not cut out for a 4 year college. Absolutely, everybody doesn't have the discipline, the patience, and the resilience. It takes a lot to do a 4 year college. But I think vocational opportunities should be made available, and we shouldn't be pushing kids to go to 4 year schools who really are not ready for that.
Exactly. Professor,
They probably will never be ready.
Professor, you know that we have to have you back. I'm going to try to get you back the first week of December so we can go more intensely into the area of school choice, which is racist, vocational
Oh,
training,
good God.
which is racist. And
Really, though?
it's,
Okay, but now the thing that drives me insane about this is because in teaching, you have this thing called learning styles, kinesthetic learning, auditory learning, visual learning. And your kinesthetic learners are those kids who are the kids, adults, everyone actually, who are hands-on people who like to work with their hands,
yeah,
people who like to do things that are physical, who like to move around. Those are generally your electricians, your mechanics, your people who like to do things with their hands.
mm-hmm.
Kinesthetic learners, a lot of them are perfect for vocational schools. So I don't understand how we as educators can have this opinion and know of all these different kinds of learning styles and develop teaching strategies to cater to these learning styles and not see the advantages of having vocational programs as an important part of the education experience. That does not make any sense to me.
Exactly. In finality, I want to ask you here, if we use any reform that actually solved the education crisis in America, uh, would there be as much money spent on education in America? Is this the real cause of all of the issues that we have with American education?
I'm going to tell you the reforms are key, but it starts with digging out the the the, the union. And I want to call it something satanic, something evil, because it just is.
Yeah.
Because of the level of control, because of the size of that entity and the power that it has. It is something that needs to be dug out of our public school system. That is the problem.
Bingo.
The union is the key problem.
Mm.
And it's like a little, it's like a cancer that has spread all over the body of the educational system. And like I said, with its money and its political power and its messaging and its distraction, it's an absolute night. You could do a whole show on that.
Awesome.
On just that. I was taking a look at a couple of things on Donald Trump's education agenda, and it mentions that there is a Teacher for America PAC that donated a couple $1 million
There
the
you go.
American Federation of Super PAC donated $1.6 million to Hillary and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. There's a surprise,
Yep.
according to the Wall Street Journal, and $2 million to Hillary's presidential campaign. So there you go.
Bingo. That's exactly it. Exactly it. Be careful because you're going to get an email in a few days asking you to come back in the first week of December so that we can talk about this in greater detail. But Professor, will you please alleviate the concerns of blacks and Hispanics in America? School choice is racist, right?
School choice is not racist. We want the kids to come out of school actually having learned something. Listen, Democrats have been controlling schools for years and years and years, and your kids still don't know anymore. You only get one shot at your education. You can get one shot. I mean, if you repeat a grade, maybe you get two.
We love her, Professor Melanie Collette from Rowan University. We love her dearly, and she still gets carded. So be careful if you're hanging out with her, kids. We love you. We appreciate you.
Listen, I'm 46. I'll take it.
She and still gets carded. I mean, take a look at her picture and tell me that she doesn't get carded. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Melanie Collette, she will be back. We're going to try to have her back first week of December so that we can talk in greater detail and greater specificity about the educational system. And thank you so much. We look forward to your return.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you've been listening hard on Red Nation Rising. I know some of you all are going to have to go away in a few minutes. Smooches to you. We love you. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. What we're going to do, because the great one, the Kraken himself, has a bit of a cold, we're going to try to shrink his time so he can heal. And we're going to pick up in the next hour, a portion of the next hour, with none other than the most handsome man in radio. Although he tells me not to say that because he's bashful and shy, I promise you I won't say it in front of him. But none other than Lonnie Poindexter. Ending tonight's show, Shannon Wright takes center stage. We will be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. Yes, you're listening to on Sackheads Radio Night, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. And I'm going to tell you all right now, what you should do is make certain that you scroll down at the end of the show. You can scroll out of the chat room at Broadcast Central into the SHR chat room. You won't miss a beat, and you can pick up Sackheads Radio with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on some immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Radio. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who save $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to lendingtree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Someone is sleeping on the couch tonight.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe. For the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Make sure she says yes with this beautiful engagement ring. Expertly crafted in 14-karat white gold with an alluring design. Featuring breathtaking diamonds. Get a unique piece designed just for you with our huge selection of stunning gems and precious metals. Order now and receive free insured shipping. Find your perfect jewel today at alores.com.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back and prelude to the next great hour of conversational talk. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I am so blessed this evening. This chat roll is beginning to grow huge, and all the great people in it. William Green, oh my man, way back up in this camp. Glad to have you. Ralph J. Chittams, the Kraken. He'll come on a little bit later on in the next hour. We're going to try to shorten his time because he's fighting a cold. Also, Lonnie will be with us, and I'm going to encourage Lonnie to come into the chat roll at the Exceptional Conservative Show. But I need to let Lonnie know that I'm bringing him on at 10:05 p.m. That way, we're going to give about 15 minutes of Lonnie, about 15 minutes of my good friend, the Kraken, and 15 minutes of Shannon. I want to make certain that we get enough time in for them. And I know that Lonnie is traveling. I know that Ralph isn't feeling all that well. And Shannon is always beautiful, so it doesn't really matter. So she's going to rock the house no matter what. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. And I want to thank Dan the Man Butcher. Is he in there? Well, Jane's in there. So if Jane's in there, he's in there. And I just want to thank Dan because of all the hard work that he does at High Plains Pundit Media and how it threads out to SHR Media and all of the hosts, because we're a real big family. And I recommend highly, if you believe in yourself and you really want to do like a morning program, drive time, or if you want to do an evening program, drive time, get in contact with either Sackhead Sean at SHR or get in contact with Dan the Man Butcher at High Plains Pundit Media. But Dan has his ear so close to the ground, he's able to get news that others wouldn't even come close to. And all joking, I always joke with Dan about the fact that Jane, his wife, does all the hard work. And Jane is a hardworking woman, but the work that Dan does is just awesome. And his breaking the story last night about the Fresno, Texas mother who berated her son because he voted for Donald Trump was immeasurable. And so we appreciate the hard work that he does and how he keeps things going. And if anybody needs to know, basically, come into chat room for big surprise. I want y'all to know something. I need a keyboard that fits a big man because I got big hands. I really do. But Dan is just a genius, and we really appreciate all that he does. And literally, I don't think there's anybody, and I know a lot of people want to point to Glenn Beck, and that's wonderful. Yeah, Glenn Beck does a wonderful job if you are trying to collect people with pointy ears. That's wonderful. But if you want real news and intelligent conversation, I highly recommend that you turn to High Plains Pundit Media. The quality of our election coverage was so great that 2.2 million people tuned into it on election night. That's not an accident. And in fact, that is twice as big an audience as we had the year before. So I would encourage you all. High Plains Pundit Media, HP Pundit. If you type that into Google, it'll come right up. And it's the best news you could possibly get. Period. End of story. Hey, I learned that from Ralph. End of story. I also want to thank the anonymous one who came on last night. That show is booming across the world. It has become a viral show. Liberals cannot fathom the fact that maybe Europe is becoming more and more conservative every single day. So Trump's victory has meant, well, you could easily point to Great Britain and the Brexit, in which the European Commission, the EU, is attempting to do everything it can, even through the courts, to stop Britain from leaving. What happens is if Britain leaves without hindrance, then by golly, guess what happens with Spain and France? They're right on that precipice of leaving at this point. Then you have Ireland that has discovered free markets and lower taxes, and to see what happens with its economy when that happens. So I'm encouraging you all to do your very best and make something. Lonnie, Poindexter is up in the hizzy. Can you believe that? So I'm encouraging you all to stay tuned to our program, The Exceptional Conservative Show, because I've made a commitment to Anonymous, and he made a commitment to me. We're going to be reaching out around the world. I know that I'm normally heads and shoulders and sometimes 5 or 6 paces ahead of everybody else. You got Michael Savage now and Mark Levin following what I've done in terms of Ustream and also YouTube. And so, quite frankly, I'm just going to tell you all that I'm going to be heads and shoulders and 5 steps ahead of the next thing. And the next thing is I want to make certain that Europe is a conservative, free market, constitutional, Christian society. That's my endeavor. So not only do I want to change the inner city, urban America, but I also want to change Europe. If I can change Europe through this particular show, or at least help in changing Europe through this show, we can change Africa. And if we can change Africa, we can change Asia. And Lord knows, if Africa becomes free, those nations of Africa, of the corruption that comes with crony capitalism and the immense amount of territorial demise that comes with a extraction of resources by those who happen to necessarily say that they're for Africa but actually are against it. And I'm not talking about Europeans. I'm talking right there in Africa. If we could change these mindsets, the world might be free. I'm looking for a free world. And on Wednesday nights, the greatest powerful medium in the free world happens to be on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Media, and the Exceptional Conservative Network. Make it a part of your every night experience. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in just a few with none other than the best of the commentary of the week. Yes, Lonnie Poindexter, Ralph J. Chittams, and none other than the beautiful one herself, taking center stage, Shannon Wright. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks.
How's it going? I'm Julian Klenda. This is my son Anthony Klenda. I'm the owner of Maine Lobster now. I grew up in the lobster industry. I worked with my father for almost 15 years. My father's company, Klenda Seafood, distributes lobster products to different restaurants and stores locally. I have relatives scattered all over the United States, and they always wanted Maine lobster, but couldn't always make the trip to Maine. So when I was in college, I developed my business plan to distribute lobsters nationwide. I developed an easy-to-use website to simplify the ordering process, to help people out and answer common questions. I've also negotiated shipping rates with different carriers so I can offer a reasonable shipping rate to my customers. We work closely with local businesses, including the Lobster Shack at Two Lights, located at Cape Elizabeth, Maine, Black Point Inn, located on Proud Snack at Scarborough, Maine, and the Residence Inn Marriott, located in downtown Portland. At Maine Lobster Now, we use our humane delivery practices to ensure comfortable transit for your lobster. My goal is to deliver the healthiest Maine lobster to your door.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. Wonderful first hour, Melanie, Professor Melanie, who still gets carded. Celeste Clavery, who is part of that beautiful group of women called the Last Civil Rights. This has been a week of bevies, of beauties. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I've always said this, and Mary will vouch for me, over the 6 years of my program, I have yet to run into a less than attractive conservative female. I'm serious. I have never run into an unattractive conservative female. It's something about the genetic pull. I'm just saying, I'm going to get into a whole lot of trouble with a lot of people for saying that. But I think it's true. We are talking with none other than the man with the plan.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your Lion Chaser with a good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter, on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. He's the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But, we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat them.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City in over 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. And I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. It's all a game, Lonnie. Because I get that a lot. And they're of the crew that has their bags packed at the train station waiting for Jesus to come back. We're going to be here in a minute. A train went by, another train. No, it wasn't Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issues to bull elephants aren't in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I want to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClinton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net. Encourage your listeners to be Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter and Urban Family Talk.
I'm telling you, when I grow up, I want to be just like him. Lonnie Poindexter from Urban Family Talk, Lion Chaser Radio, got 45 million people listening around the world at any given time. Good evening, sir. It's a great privilege to have you on the air.
Each time I come on your show, the listenership increases by several million. I'm loving that. You know who I want to be when I grow up? I just want to be Hawk and a 10-gallon hat like this sport.
I was ready for that. I knew you were going to go directly to the hat. You remember this, man? Do you remember this?
Yes, I
do. If someone in the chat room could, don't say anything. Someone in the chat room tell me what you're listening to right now, and I'll know what you were doing on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. That's Gunsmoke. You're right. That's Gunsmoke. That's so true.
Now, when I saw you and I got into the chat room, and kudos to the chat room, loving that, I immediately thought of Hoss Cartwright, so I was going to start singing the theme song, the Bonanza. For our listeners, your listeners like Miss Melanie and Shannon and some of the others, they're too young to know anything about this.
I know, they way too young. They don't know. They don't know nothing about this.
No.
They came at a time when it was Flip Wilson on at that hour. So, they don't know nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. Flip Wilson or Happy Days or something like that. I'm talking about real TV.
We grew up in an era, ladies and gentlemen, where we were required not to move once Gunsmoke was on. You're not to move. No one moved. Just stay still.
I didn't want to move because I had a big crush on Miss Kitty.
Yeah.
So it didn't dawn on me until years later that she was the madam of a house of ill repute.
Well, actually, she might be a well-paid rapper nowadays. It's Miss Kitty. Oh, new album coming out next week. Ladies and gentlemen, this man I envy because he meets with the creme de la creme of people wherever he goes. I mean, Lonnie Poindexter is one of the most infamous men in America. Wherever he goes, there are great people around him. Recently in Trump Land, Trump International, downtown D.C., you were with Katrina Pearson and Omarosa. Who were you with earlier this week, sir?
Well, I just actually got back in this evening, having spent the first part of the week in Dayton, Ohio, or actually just outside Dayton, Ohio, where I broadcast remotely my show from Shekinah Ranch, which is a ministry founded by Pastor Donovan Larkins, and it's a ministry that administers healing to inner city children who have been sexually abused.
Wow.
So beautiful. So, yeah, 150-acre ranch. It includes an equestrian center. It includes organic farming, and they do something very unique there. They do what I call aqua farming, and they do the raising of organic tilapia fish, which has been sold on the commercial market. So the children that come to the ranch, they don't sit there and sulk about whatever, a trauma they've had in their life. Pastor Larkins has discovered that the healing comes by putting them to work in the ranch, working with the animals. And there's something about, and I don't know, the experts probably know why this is, but there's some correlation between working with horses that helps children who have been abused to heal.
Exactly, which is why I'm wearing my hat tonight. So there.
All right.
And listen, Mr. Larkins, Pastor Larkins, was exceptional this week in terms of communicating his love for the children, his veracity for showing that hard work does get a just reward. But I want you to tell us what it was like for you walking around that particular huge ranch.
Well, I tell you, it is huge. You don't realize how much 150 acres is until you get out and out and about. It was a little too chilly to actually get on the horses and ride around, thank God, because I'm not good at that. But he threw me in one of those four-wheelers, and we toured around the acreage. And the passion that he has for, obviously, the young people, but for the ministry itself, he is involved in every facet of that. They just completed a 6,000 square foot facility over the summer, which will almost triple their production of quality fish products. And he's going to expand into other fish foods as well, not just tilapia. But he's looking to, number one, dispel the myth of, tilapia fish has got a bad rep now because it's all coming in from China and from other places, and they do not have the quality standards, and so hence the bad reputation with the fish. But the fish itself is actually a wonderful source of great protein and vitamins and so forth. I learned during my trip to earlier this year to Jerusalem, well, not Jerusalem, to Israel in general, but Jerusalem specifically, that they eat a fish over there, and they serve it to us often called St. Peter's fish. Well, lo and behold, St. Peter's fish is tilapia by another name.
Oh, man, why'd you tell me that? I thought it was something exotic, man.
Well, they're referencing, they call it St. Peter's fish in reference to the scriptures in the Bible about getting the taxes out of the fish's mouth. Jesus, that portion of the scripture.
Yeah.
And hence the name St. Peter's fish. And so when I learned that, as soon as I got back, I told Donovan. He already knew, obviously. He said, oh, yeah, I know about that. But it's something that if any of your listeners could ever get out to Shekinah Ranch, it's just outside of Dayton, Ohio, it will change your life. It's just wonderful to see a ministry that was literally started based upon a dream that he had. He felt God called him to do something different, and he started literally with nothing. And now it's this wonderful facility that's growing by leaps and bounds, and it's because of the support of the people that believe in what he's trying to accomplish.
Now, you say the support of people, and normally he's probably getting tons of money from the government. You know what I'm saying? GUBMINT. Because the government must have helped him get all that profit. God couldn't do that with just people helping.
Actually, and you know Pastor Donovan Larkins, he's not going to let anyone control him. it actually has contracts to sell the food products to the U.S. That's TIC. So on a contractual basis, they come looking to him to look for expertise. Here's something he's doing that's very unique. And for those of you listening out there, if you happen to be in ministry, he says that as the churches come under continual pressure from the government, the churches need to find a way to become self-sufficient and become what I call Church 2.0. And he's willing to teach his best practices and methodologies to anybody that's in ministry that has the acreage. And he doesn't require 150 acres to do what he's doing with the fish products. All it requires is just some open warehouse space or some area that you can designate because they have this really high-tech temporary housing they can put up. It was all, I should have brought some pictures I could post on your chat room, but it doesn't require all that square footage and everything, but it's a wonderful facility. He's open and available. Shekinah Ranch Foundation, I think, is the website.com. I should be more prepared. But if you Google Pastor Donovan Larkin, he's on Facebook as well, and he'd be more than willing to help you and arrange a tour for you to go out and see what he's doing.
I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people would say, maybe the minister is approaching this the wrong way. Okay, because in our fashion today, our children leave DC public schools where they're the most illiterate people on the face of the earth, but they leave DC public schools to go march against the election of Donald J. Trump. And so what the kids really need is a quiet room, a little white room. They put something over themselves and they just sit there and someone checks on them every once in a while. But that's really what the kids need. The kids don't need that kind of recreational stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah, they just need a safe space.
Does he go for that? Does Pastor Larkin go for that?
No, he doesn't go for that at all. In fact, he sent me a picture because I tease him all the time. As I first met him a couple of years ago here in Washington, he walked in, he looked like a conventional pastor with a suit on and a hat and a top coat. But if you go out to the ranch, I told him, I said, you know what, you look like you're the long-lost child of the Robinson clan on Duck Dynasty because he's all done up in camel and so forth, going out hunting deer.
Now we put Pastor Larkin's information out there from Facebook. I'm asking everyone to befriend Pastor Larkin's. And I listened to the interview that you had with him yesterday. And you and I both know, because I'm a member of the Pastors Association that you've put together. And you work with pastors every single day through Urban Family Talks, Lion Chasers Radio, which is a premium show for anybody to listen to. And I'm not just saying that because you're the most attractive man in radio. You told me not to say most handsome, so I'm just saying most attractive. But
you know the payback's coming. Yeah,
I know. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. You had me choked up the other day. Don't do that. But you know how hard ministers in urban America have been fighting. And we look to the left and to the right, and it seemed as if we were the last standing. And Donald Trump got elected. A Republican won Pennsylvania. A lot of things are changing around the country. And these men and women are tired. They prayed, and they're weary. And they want to be rejuvenated. Can someone go to Shekinah Ranch to be rejuvenated so they can get ready for the new year?
They certainly can, and it has that effect on you. You know what Scripture says about getting away and going to the quiet places to commune with the Holy Spirit, and you kind of get that take. Even Donovan mentioned that when the Trump campaign team came out to his ranch, back before the election, to visit, that he says those ladies who were, dressed up in their DC best took their high heels off and relaxed and let their hair down, because they were literally in a safe place where they could speak candidly about what's on their heart and their love for this And, our young people are our future. You and I both, and all your listeners know as well, that the battleground is to commandeer and change and command the mind of our youth, so that this next generation moves completely away from God. But I think a shot was fired across the bow at this election. 81% of the faith-based community showed up in the voting booth and made their presence known. So God moved. When God's people stand up, God moves. I think Pastor Donovan's ministry is a prototype of what the church can be, what I call Church 2.0. But here's the deal. You got to be fearless. You got to want to speak up. And I think pastors are beginning to do that. If you listen to the show yesterday and the show prior, we had many pastors calling in from across the country that were emboldened by that what Pastor Donovan was sharing. And we're also sharing stories about Ken, about you and I and the other members of the radio community that are poking the bear to get the church to wake up and speak up.
Exactly. And you and I have talked about this. We have a power given to us by God. We've been graced by God. And this is not a moment for us to pat ourselves on the back. That's not what we're doing here. But your minister only has access to you maybe once, at best twice a week. We happen to be on the air 5 to 6 days a week. We can say and do things that your pastor can't say, but it reinforces the Spirit of the Lord in terms of the people making decisions. How impactful was our role in this election?
I think our role was pivotal. We know that Trump moved as it relates to the African American community, moved the needle on blacks crossing the aisle, and it went from 6% of the black population to 8%. So that's 2 points. That might seem like an insignificant number. That's a huge number in terms of, you go back to 2008 when it was about 4% of the black community voted for Trump. African American males, I'm taking quotes that I got in stats from Pastor Ralph Chittams, who actually did the research on this. I believe it was 16% of African American males, which was higher than African American females, that voted for Trump. Now, here's the backdrop to all of that. We can give Donald Trump some credit for getting folks to take a look and crossing the aisle, but who laid all the groundwork for all of that was the conservative radio community.
Yep. I'm telling you, this, and I've said it privately to my listeners on the Exceptional Conservative Show, and I'm coming down to the last 2 minutes with you, so I'm not going to put you on the spot of you giving an answer. But I sincerely believe you are a strong man of God who should be ordained to preach the gospel to the world by mankind. You're already ordained by God, but I think mankind should do that as well. Your impact is not thoroughly appreciated. And I'm just telling you personally, from listening to you as a friend in private and watching you work in public, Lonnie Poindexter, you deserve an award for what you've done during this election year. You, amongst a lot of others, but certainly among the premium group, were responsible for bringing 6 million evangelicals to the voting booth. You were responsible for bringing born-again blacks, African Americans, colored Negroes to the booth to vote for Donald Trump. You were responsible, and you didn't do it with a rah-rah vote Trump. You said, not just vote your conscience thing, you said vote your Christ. Your comment, sir.
Yes, and man, I'm humbled. Thank you so much for the vote of confidence. You know, at the end of the day, I'm just a watchman on the wall. Like I tell you all the time, I want to be like you when I grow up. But the reality is I'm just trying to do what I can from what God's put in front of me from my little bully pulpit, and be fearless. But I draw my strength, first of all, from above. But really, I'm emboldened from listening to guys like you and Pastor Chittams and Donovan Larkins and all the many clergy across the country that I interact with on a regular basis, since God has called me to be an edifier of the pastoral community. And as I'm in, I just want to mention, Pastor Henry Essex came out to the ranch last night. I had a chance to meet him.
Wow!
And you know, Henry Essex talked about bringing his A game. It was great to see him. He was excited because he and I had never met personally. We've been chatting for the better part of 3 years, and he's been on my show several times. And he is stirring up the pastoral community within his denomination. So I call it poking the bear. they get angry, they get upset. But he said privately, they come to me and said, Pastor, I believe in what you said. I'm encouraged to stand up. I'm just not quite as bold as you are yet. But see, so progress is being made.
Exactly. Listen, Lonnie, there are lots of people out there who are silently inspired by you, but should boldly be in your cherubim room inspiring others now. How can they be a part of Lion Chasers Radio? How can they also be a part of your pastoral organization?
It's very easy. We broadcast Monday through Friday. You can catch us at urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. The name of my show is Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. And the show airs at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a 2-hour show. And we have clergy from all over the nation. We have lawmakers, a little bit of everybody calling in. Our demographic is trying to push this conservative message, conservative Christianity to urban communities. But I have listeners from all walks of life that listen in. I see Brother Ricky in your chat room, and Ricky's a regular listener on the show, and he's actually been called into the show on a number of occasions and has his own radio show now. And many, many others. And so, this is a movement. This is something that God's doing, and I'm just glad to have a seat, to watch it all take place and unfold.
God bless you, sir. We'll be talking very soon, and please don't pay me back on Friday.
You know I am. I forgot to mention, you can join the Urban Family Pastors Network by going to the website and clicking where it says Pastors Network. You don't have to be a pastor to join. We're just looking for Christian leaders.
There you go. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and we'll be talking real soon. Lonnie.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Lonnie Poindexter. I love you, man. Oh, man. Lonnie Poindexter from Urban Family Talk, Lion Chasers Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with the Kraken himself for a few moments so that he doesn't lose all of his voice. We'll be right back right after this Gunsmoke theme.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, TECS Radio.
Heart, dude. Heart, dude.
Radio.
Heart, dude. Heart, dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Even when I'm busy in the kitchen, it's important to me that the special people in my life know how much I care. I choose edible blooms because it's the perfect choice. Traditional flowers and chocolate all wrapped up in one. Edible blooms are made fresh daily using the very best seasonal produce and Belgian chocolate, all crafted by hand and delivered Australia-wide. Edible Blooms has the perfect gift for any occasion. edibleblooms.com.au.
Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you want powerful, conservative messaging, don't go to Fox. No, don't do that. Don't go to CNN. Go directly to the man who is known better as the Kraken, none other than Ralph J. Chittams Sr. We release the Kraken, people. We're not responsible for what happens after this. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Exceptional. How are you?
Just fine. I hear you have a cold.
Yeah. I've just been burning the candle at both ends for a few months now. And now that this election is over, I think I'm going to try to take a little time off and just recharge the batteries.
I feel you, like Shekinah Ranch kind of feeling.
And I was in the chat room telling people, Pastor Larkin put up a video this evening. He was 20 feet up in a tree in a blind with his bow and arrows. He was out there doing some deer hunting. Now, I have no problem being 20 foot up in a tree in a blind, but if I'm going to be up there, I'm bringing a rifle. I ain't shooting no bow.
You don't want them waiting for you down at the bottom.
Exactly. I've got my 10-22 Ruger, and I'm ready to go get some venison.
Exactly. I want to ask you tonight, boldly, there are many mayors around the city, around the country, including our city mayor, what's her name? Browser? Yeah. Who proclaim that they have the right to sanctuary cities. And she had the audacity to tell the future president-elect in the nation's capital, which, again, I believe is under the constitutional control of Congress, that the sanctuary city known as Washington District, Columbia will remain no matter what President Donald Trump does. Your thoughts regarding sanctuary cities and Mayor Bowser?
Well, first things first, sanctuary cities are illegal. They're violating U.S. law, and if the federal government wanted to, they could easily come in and withdraw all kinds of funding from those cities, and in the case of the District of Columbia, they could just basically shut down the district government, period, because Congress has complete, total fiscal oversight of the District of Columbia. So the question I would have for, Muriel Bowser, is this really a fight that you want to have?
I mean, literally, that's a very good question, because you have a Republican Congress, you have a Republican Senate, they have absolute control over the budget, and every year D.C. goes to the federal government and asks for more money. Could this be the point where you have a group of people who are so obstinate that they refuse to accept the nation's capital being a sanctuary city?
It is very possible that if they want to push this to this extent, people need to understand home rule can be rescinded.
Woo!
The same way they put the control board back in place over D.C. years ago, home rule can be suspended. So the question I ask again of Mayor Bowser, is this really the hill on which you are willing to die?
Wow. Now, a lot of people will say to you, Kraken, and others like you, like me, in the district, that you guys are just bullies, and you're mean-spirited, and you have no right to force undocumented illegal aliens out of the country. Your retort to that?
I can't say what I'm thinking on camera.
This land is my land.
If you are in this country illegally, you have no rights.
Thank you.
If you are in this country illegally, you are not protected by the Constitution of the United States. If you are in the country legally, whether you are a citizen, whether you are a guest worker, whether you're on a student visa, whatever status you have, if you are in this country legally, you are protected by the full weight and measure of the United States Constitution. But if you are in this country illegally, you are entitled to nothing.
We're talking tonight with Ralph J. Chittams, Sr. He is the DCGO Vice Chairman, and also a chief rabble-rouser here in Washington, D.C. One of the persons responsible for having so many people who happen to be Asian or African-American, Negro, colored, black, or Hispanic run for office in the local area. Now, a lot of people say that the big story in America has been the fact that Donald Trump won the election. He won North Carolina, he won Pennsylvania. He won Wisconsin and Michigan, and as well, if I didn't say it before, North Carolina, Ohio. I'm sorry, I didn't say Ohio. So he won all of those particular states. But don't you think the big story is the number of Republicans that won, even here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, yeah, on a national scale, it was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
I mean, you have not just, Donald J. Trump now as the president-elect, but the Republicans held on to the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. You now have 33 governors who are Republicans, and you just go down the list across the country. This was a veritable bloodbath, in favor of the Republicans. But the states that you tick off, people also need to understand that what Donald Trump did in this historic win is he took a sledgehammer to the blue wall of the Midwest. Hillary Clinton won Illinois and Minnesota.
That's it, people.
and then coming further east, she took Virginia. And truthfully, she only took Virginia because the GOP didn't really have its ground game together. Trump should have won Virginia. But Donald Trump took West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, that whole Rust Belt area, which is considered that blue wall for Democrats. Donald Trump didn't just crack it. He obliterated it. And he did it because he articulated an economic message that made sense to that segment of the American population that has been left behind by all of these crazy progressive policies coming out of the elites in the Democrat Party.
Wow. Now, I want to ask you this. I'm going to let you go. Just two more questions. One, the educational system in the District of Columbia. We had Melanie, Collette on, the professor from Rowan University, who still gets carded because she looks so young. But you know how... We won't talk about that. I didn't bring that up, Melanie. I didn't bring that up. That was him. But she's coming to DC for you, man. She really is. Okay, but earlier this week, DC Public Schools allowed students out of the classroom to march against the election results. And as well, there was a mob fight on the mall. There was a fight today in Rockville because the teachers let the students out of the Montgomery County schools so that they could protest. What do you have to say about all of these kids protesting an election result?
This is proof that the American educational system is as useless as a piece of wet toilet paper.
And that was not a quote from Melanie.
It has not been taught civics. They couldn't explain to you the Electoral College if you promised them $100. They put a microphone in front of some of these kids' faces and they asked them, why are you out here protesting? One little rocket scientist said, because Donald Trump wants to put all 18-year-olds in the military. And I'm sitting there looking at you going, what the hell is this ignoramus talking about? Somebody else said, I just came out here to be on TV. See, honestly, I don't blame the children.
Yeah.
I blame their dumbass parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are filling their heads with all sorts of foolishness. And then if you want to talk about the protesters like out on the West Coast, the ones who are being paid up to $20 an hour to protest, and then they run the numbers and find out that in in Portland, out of the 112 people that they arrested, 70% of these morons weren't even registered to vote.
Wow.
So you're not even registered to vote, but you're going to go out and burn up and tear up somebody else's city in which you don't even live. And I'll go back to where I started. And your stupid behind didn't even vote.
Wow.
No, that's crazy.
It is. Final question for you. I know that you have mad respect for Colin Kaepernick.
Another rocket scientist who has never registered to vote. He needs to take a stadium full of chairs and sit the hell down.
The Kraken! Yeah, you didn't think it was in him. It was in him tonight. Listen, Lonnie, forgive me, Ralph, there's some people who are sitting at home right now saying, you know what, I should have listened to Ralph and I should have ran for office. And what can I do? What should I do? How can you help me? How can people get in contact with you, sir?
Get in touch with me. I'm in social media, RJCHITTAMSSR, Ralph J. Chittams Senior, Facebook and Twitter. And honestly, what I would say, to anyone who's listening, the next election isn't 4 years away. The next election is 2 years away. And Donald Trump is setting up a team that is going to light this country on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The economy is going to start jumping. The educational system is going to turn around. He is going to have a cabinet and an administrative executive team that people are going to be stunned at its diversity. So don't think that if you're a Republican in 2 years, you're going to have to try to run away from Donald Trump. No, in 2 years, everyone in America is going to be huddled around Donald Trump.
You know, I want to say this in closing. Listen, Donald Trump has an excellent opportunity to get new voters. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about the 94 million Americans that are sitting at home waiting to get a job. They get jobs, it's all over.
Well, if people go online and just look up Donald Trump's 10-point plan for Black America, but understand that even though that 10-point plan is directed at Black America, that 10-point plan applies equally well to rural, poor, white America.
Yep.
Because the poorest communities in this country are not inner-city urban areas. They are rural areas with almost 100% white populations. So the policies that he's, talking about rolling out that would address poverty and education and income inequality and healthcare in the inner cities is going to have just as beneficial an effect in Appalachia as it will in Anacostia. So that's what I'm saying. In 2 years, there's going to be a paradigm shift in this country. And we may not see Democrats regain national power for a number of terms.
Yeah, we're looking at about a 20-year desert, baby. If we do this right in the next 2 years, it could benefit us.
And we have the opportunity to do it. I've been in meetings all week since President-elect Donald Trump won. Meeting with his transition team, and they are honestly putting together like the A-team of people. Donald Trump wants to have the most diverse cabinet of any president in modern history. And he's reaching out not just to Black Republicans, he's even reaching out to conservative and moderate Black Democrats to say, look, you know the schools are screwed up. You know the ideas that we're putting forward are the ones that can fix the schools.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to work with us, apply for a job in my administration and we'll hire you.
There you go. There you go. Ralph Chittams, rest your voice. We will have you back on next week. The Kraken, we will put back in the cage. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for all that you have done for this country.
Bless you too, and all of your listeners. Have a great evening.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who's on the horizon for our non-commercial portion of the show. Yes, I know it came a little late, but we had a lot of fun with Melanie, Collette. And remember, Melanie, it was Ralph J. Chittams that said it, not me. Everybody's scared of Melanie. You know, it's amazing. We will be right back for the non-commercial portion that includes Shannon Wright taking center stage. We'll be right back.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on some immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECS Radio.
Heart, dude. Heart, dude.
Radio.
Heart, dude. Heart, dude.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Well, I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah, say I got a woman way over town, good to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the non-commercial portion of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Yes. Thank you, Ray.
I got a woman.
Coming up, Shannon Wright.
That's good to me.
There we go.
Oh yeah. She says I love it early in the morning.
Shannon Wright.
Just for me.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We got a woman, and her name is Shannon Wright. She is taking center stage right now. Good evening, Miss Wright.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Just fine. It is a great privilege to have you back on the program, back on the air. Are you rested now?
No.
Firstly, we want to publicly congratulate Shannon Wright. And Mary, thank you for your support, and Mamba and all the rest of you and your support of Shannon for her election. She won a primary, her first primary, and people said that was amazing because she knocked off an establishment radical in the Baltimore City Republican Party. Then she went on in the first election that a Republican was a serious candidate for a position on the city council in 75 years. And she not only bust the bubble per se, but got over 25,000 votes, which is the highest number that a Republican has gotten in Baltimore in over 40 years. Congratulations to you. Unfortunately, you didn't win the election, but there's always tomorrow, right?
Something like that, I guess.
Yay team. Yay team!
No, I did not win the election. I'm not sure what the future years down the road hold. I haven't decided that far yet. But there's too much chaos and confusion going on with all these folks that are still so unhappy with the outcome of the presidential election.
Yeah.
So it gives, it hasn't given me the time yet to figure out what it is exactly that I want to do, because there's so much left to still be done.
Shannon, we're very proud of you. And we know that it's a very tiring experience when you're carrying the load all by yourself, and then it doesn't happen until the very last moments that people want to join in and push the wagon for you. But You did an exceptional job, and we're very, very proud of you. Want to ask you, however, you have all these kids who are leaving school during the course of the day in protest of the fact that Donald John Trump is president-elect. I need to ask you in that regard, and there's been some violence, some fights amongst these young people. I want to ask you, is this the best that liberal America can offer? And are you satisfied with them protesting outside of school?
No. No. Listen, you may not like the outcome. You may not respect the man, but you got to respect the process. And if you can't respect the process, become a part of the process and change it from within the system. But to stand out and protest and do things that are criminal yourself really is counterintuitive and counterproductive.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't support that.
Is that happening in Baltimore at all?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just shared a post just to kind of put out there that there's a lot of things going on in Baltimore. There is a video that I think I put it out on Facebook. Hopefully it's there. There was a protest last night, and there was a reporter there doing his job, reporting on the story, and he became part of the story.
Really? How does a reporter become part of the story?
Okay. See, when you ask questions like that, for your listeners that don't really know you that well, that means either you already know, or
I am not omniscient. I am not all wise. Sometimes I ask.
Either that or you actually read the messages I send you.
What are you looking at me right now on Ustream or live stream?
Actually, yes. Yes, I am, actually.
You're looking at me just reading your, yeah, I read this. Hey, how about that? I just, you know how intense I am when it comes to getting messages from people.
Hence why I just put it in your chat box. There you go. So there was an issue.
Yeah.
In Baltimore last night, there was a protest. There was media coverage. There was a reporter that was covering the story. And some of the protesters, in their especially colorful way, told him that he really didn't belong there. He was not welcome there. And they started arguing on the news, live, on the air.
Mm-hmm.
The police intervened, kind of scooped the reporter up for his own safety, as they put it, and removed him from the location. It was about a 10-minute exchange that really was live on the air.
Wow.
And it seems to me that, as I said in that piece that I put out, which I don't know if you've actually read yet, but first of all, I'm happy.
I want y'all to know,
I'm happy.
For those who are listening in Moscow and in Germany right now and in Sao Paulo, Brazil, I want y'all to understand our relationship. We're not biologically related, but she's like a little sister to me. And that
is a nice way of saying I'm annoying, I know.
No, you're not. She will hold my feet to the fire. I swear, don't. Oh, wow. Okay.
So, in the event, that was some of the excitement here in Baltimore. People are upset. They're displeased and under the delusional misconception that their displeasure is going to change something. So it seems to me
Now, if folks could take some of the energy that they are wasting on expressing their displeasure and actually read a book and learn the process, they might actually be able to be a part of the change or the solution, as opposed to just soundbite and annoying.
There you are. There you are. Shannon, I want to ask you also, who won the mayoral election up there? Was it Dixon?
Oh, no.
It was Pugh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you gonna run? Are you gonna run for mayor? Because you're a better mayor right now than she is as an elected. So I'm just saying.
You're funny. You're funny. No, I am not running for mayor. I tell you what, I will run for mayor as soon as you run for council down there. How about that?
Well, hell will freeze over soon, so we'll go for it.
There you go.
But Shannon,
there's your answer.
I also had I had a meeting this week, or last week, in fact, with a council member, and in the District of Columbia, who virtually told me that the reason why they can't move on unresolved homicides in the district is because the mayor won't send down a budget. And when I asked him why the mayor won't send down a budget is a problem since you all originate the budget, he said, well, if it's not her priority, we can't do it. Is that the best that we can expect in urban America over the next 4 years or so with the ones who have been elected to office? And what hope do we have? Oh, my God. What hope do we have?
You know, we don't. And I tell you why. Because there's some things that Ralph, I love him dearly, but there's some things that Ralph said that I agree with and some things I don't agree with. One of the things that is absolute fact is most of the folks out here that are protesting are not registered to vote.
Yeah.
They've never voted, and they don't intend to vote. So when you have folks out here that are disrupting and being disruptive, that can't even be a part of the solution because they're not registered to vote, there is no hope for a solution.
So what's your solution? What do we do to give them a safe place, somewhere where we can cuddle them and let them know that it's going to be all right? We've been doing this for 200 some odd years, and we haven't failed yet in a peaceful transition. How shall we let them know that they will be all right?
Okay, so what folks can do if they're really concerned is they can register to vote and they can become a part of the solution. That's what they can do.
Oh, see,
there is no easy answer.
I thought that was going to be an easy. I thought you were going to do something easy.
But I'll tell you what. This is what I'm going to do just for you. I will give you the answer to your question when you tune into my radio show tomorrow afternoon, right on point on WOLB. How about that?
Exactly. What channel is it?
WOLB, Baltimore, 1010 AM, and we are streamed live on WOLB Baltimore. We are part of the Radio 1 News 1 network.
There you see. Now they let Shannon on Radio 1. They let Ralph on Radio 1. Who won't they allow on Radio 1?
So then, why don't you call in and join us tomorrow? How about that?
Yeah, that's where the tapping of the line comes in from the NSA. I know how it works. Listen, Shannon, make sure that you put that in the chat room for everybody. God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much for all that you've done for this country and for Baltimore City.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you so much. Shannon Wright, taking center stage tonight. We are very, very proud of Shannon. Listen, I only have a few more minutes because it's Sackheads Radio night, but I want to make sure that you all understand. I am surrounded by pioneers and courageous people. They're in the chat roll tonight, whether it's Celeste, or Daryl, or Mamba, or the Underground Professor, or any of the others who are in that chat roll. This is a very large chat roll tonight. It is the greatest joy that I have to be in your presence and to serve you. My job over the next 2 to 4 years is to change this country and to change this world, especially inner city America. We've been successful, but I want you to know that we've knocked down just one wall. There are a few more walls we have to knock down. And I'm going to desire, I'm going to want, and I'm going to need your help in that particular process. Don't make yourself a stranger to the chat roll here at the Exceptional Conservative Show Broadcast Central. Don't make yourself a stranger to me and to other pioneers who are in this chat roll. We, working together, can change the world. We don't have to be the biggest ship in the harbor, but we can be all the water so we can drown all those people who get on our last nerve. Just want to let you know I learned that from somebody else. I want you to learn, if you didn't get anything else tonight, I want you to get this. God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night for New Day Black and Red. Join us then. Love you always. Stay tuned for Sackheads Radio. Just scroll down to the bottom and be a part of Great American Conservative Talk.
Well, I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh, yeah. Say, I got a woman way over town good to me. Oh, yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah, she says I love it early in the morning just for me. Oh yeah, she says